Okay, now I understand it's your first lesson, so maybe just an overview of what we usually do here. Okay, now life cycles might not be the topic that you're learning now. Okay, but I understand that for primary three students this year, you are starting on the new syllabus. So life cycle is one of the topics that you are going to cover in primary three. Okay, so even though you might not be doing life cycles now in school, but sometimes, okay, we can't cater to all schools because sometimes all schools do different things at different time of the year. So what we usually do is we'll ensure that we cover all the topics that are required for you to know in primary three. Okay, so that's what we're doing. And the timing that you've joined Shiloh, we are already at life cycles second tutorial. Okay, so last lesson we actually had an introduction on life cycles, and then we did some questions on life cycles as well. So for today, we are going to continue with what we left off last week. So just to set the context for you, yeah? So we are going to continue with what we left off last week and continue with life cycles for today. Okay? I think you have been assigned the questions on the student account as well. By right, you should have finished doing the questions on the tutorial worksheet before you come and attend the tutorial. Okay, because it serves a purpose of like letting you to try and attempt the questions first. So it's more of a self-directed learning. Then after that, when you come to tutorial, that's when we go through the questions with you. Got it? So that's how things usually flow. You will try the questions. Then when you come back, we will teach you and also guide you along all the questions on how to do it and also address some concerns because after you try the questions, then you will know, oh, teacher, I didn't get correct for this question. Why is my answer wrong? Right? Maybe you choose option B, but the answer is D. Then why is it that cannot be B? Right? So after doing, then you will be able to ask these questions. Okay? Now, another thing that I want to highlight since Shiloh, you're new, is that I think I've noticed that when you came in, you have a different name. I think that is probably.
Shiloh.
Sorry?
It's Shiloh.
Oh, sorry. Shiloh, is it? Okay. So I noticed when you came in, you used a different name. I believe that might be your parents' name. So when you come in, first thing to do is to turn on your video, change your name to your actual name, and then mute yourself. Okay? So some house rules now, short one. I think Claire, we have gone through it a few times already. So for Shiloh's case, just a quick reminder, okay? It's compulsory to turn on your video like what I've mentioned just now. If you have a question, you can use the chat function in Zoom to type in your question if it's not urgent. Okay. If you have an urgent burning question you need to ask, you can always click on the raise hand icon. And when I see your hands raised, I'll get you to answer and respond as well. Okay. Now, of course, if you need to go to the toilet, that part, I'm sure, I'm sure you really need to use to answer nature's call, right? So I will not stop you from going. Okay, so just as out of respect, maybe just drop me a chat, a text in the chat. Just say, "Oh, teacher, I need to go toilet." Okay, all right. So that's about it. But within a 1 hour, 30 minutes lesson, I don't think you should be going toilet that often, unless you're having the diarrhea. Okay, otherwise you can just drop a text and I'll just let you go. Okay, but all in all, basically, it's really because this is a cyberspace. We are conducting lessons online. So please be respectful to each other. Okay, so that's what we want to achieve here. Okay, so let me see. Yeah, okay. So over here we have got 3 different types of life cycle. I think the color is a bit dark, so maybe I use a highlighter. Okay, the 2 stages one usually comprises of the young and adult. 3 stages one is egg, young, and adult. 4 stages will be egg, larva, pupa, then adult. Okay, so 2-stage life cycle. Two-stage life cycle, the most common one, I think, for primary 3 level that you need to know is basically men. Okay, I know some of you might argue that, hey, but teacher, men have many cycles, many stages. What it has, newborn, it has toddler, then children, then adult, then elderly, right? But in general, we just know it as young and adult. That's all for men. Okay, for primary school level, that's what you need to know. Then, of course, for your 3-stage life cycles, you have some of your insects. If it is insects, then you can call it egg, nymph, adult. Okay, egg, nymph, and adult, right? So that's for insects. And what are some examples of insects which has nymph? Like, for example, your cockroach, grasshopper, dragonfly. Okay, so these are the examples of your nymph, right? And then what else do we have? We have okay, some other 3 stages one would be like, for example, your frog and your hen. Okay, so these are others. So we have your insects. Insects, the young is called a nymph. So there's a special term for it. So it's called a nymph. Whereas for the rest, basically like frog and hen, they follow this cycle here. Egg, young, adult. Of course, specifically the young of a frog is called a tadpole. Right? A young of a hen is called a chick. Yeah, but these are the ones that you need to know. Okay, then after that, we're going to move on to our 4-stage life cycle. So this one is what we call the 3-stage life cycle. Okay, then we have our 4-stage life cycle. Okay, and that applies to your animals, like for example, the one that is most hated, which is your mosquito, right? Your mosquito has 4 stages. Your butterfly as well, you probably have read the book on the very hungry caterpillar, right? When you were younger. So it's basically how the caterpillar turned into a cocoon. The cocoon is the pupa stage. Then eventually it turns into an adult butterfly. Okay. Another example will be your mealworm beetle. Right? Mealworm beetle. Okay. So how do we remember? I taught my students a way. You go by alphabetical order. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Right? So it starts with A. So it goes in alphabetical order in a circle. There is no start to which stage starts first because it's a cycle. So there's no starting point, there's no ending point. Basically, it's a cycle. Okay, so A first, then E, then L, then P. So this is your 4-stage life cycle and its examples. Okay. So let's narrow down to your 3 stages life cycle, 3-stage life cycle. You have your egg, which is your birth stage. Okay, the egg is at its birth stage. Then you have your nymph. Okay, but this one it applies to insects, yeah, only for insects, because you don't call the young of a chicken a nymph, right? The young of a chicken is a chick, not a nymph. So this one applies to insects only. Okay, the young of the insect is called a nymph. It is what we call the growth stage. So most of the feeding is done here. They eat a lot during this period of time. Okay, and they usually look like the adults. So you look at the grasshopper nymph, really looks like the adult in terms of its shape. Okay, and the final stage is the adult stage. The adult stage is basically the stage whereby they will breed again and then they will start another life. So basically, this is the reproduction stage. They will reproduce to form new lives. That's why they will never go extinct. Okay? Are we good? Can I move on? Any questions so far? No? Everything is good? Okay, let's move on, okay? Now let's look at the 4 stages life cycle. Okay, 4 stages, 8. Remember I said go by alphabetical order, right? 8. Then larva is the growth stage. Most of the feeding is done. Okay, usually they look like worms, like for example this one, caterpillar. Okay, oh no, this one is the mealworm beetle. See, it looks like a worm, right? Mealworm. Okay, then you have your pupa stage, which is the transformation stage. It is inactive. It does not feed, okay, and it's very well camouflaged. And the last stage, of course, is the adult stage, whereby same thing, it undergoes reproduction so that it will produce more of its own kind. Okay, so same thing, ELPA. Now, one thing to highlight is whether or not it's at its nymph stage or whether or not it's at its larva stage. Both stages, the young will molt. Molt means it will remove its exoskeleton and change. Okay, it will change a new one. Yeah. Okay, so now that we have covered that, I think Claire, I've seen your work. Okay, question 1, you actually got it correct. But even so, we will still go through all the questions, okay? So you just pay attention to those that you have gotten wrong. I have a record of the questions you've gotten wrong. But I think from your side, you are able to see also. Yeah?
I didn't print
Okay.
out the paper.
Oh, then do you want me to highlight later? Do you feel comfortable for me to highlight your questions? Or would you just want to listen and then later on take note? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think it's okay if you get it wrong, doesn't matter because this is a new topic you have not studied before. So even if you get it wrong, just take it as a learning point and we move on from there. Okay? Yeah? Okay, now let's look at question 1. Study the life cycle of the mosquito below. Okay. At which stage of its life cycle is the mosquito harmful to humans? So let's look at the first stage. Is it harmful? Okay, the question is asking, which stage is harmful to humans? First one, is it harmful? It's an egg in the water. Does it harm human? Claire, what do you think?
No,
No. Okay. Shiloh, this one, is it harmful? No. Very good. Okay. What about the pupa stage? Claire, is it harmful?
I think a bit.
How is it a bit? Does it bite human? In fact, the pupa stage, it does not feed. It is quite, okay, it's not feeding. So it's quite comfortable. It's undergoing this term called metamorphosis. So it's not feeding. It's not eating anything. So is it harmful to human? No. Okay, of course, this stage is the most annoying stage, right? Whenever you see mosquitoes flying around. Okay, so the stage that's harmful will be the 4th stage. The answer is B. Are we okay? Yeah? Okay, now let's move on.